Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining DemoPoint Academy sessions. My name is Yael Hacker, and together with me is Shai Levin. We are both from the Checkpoint Solution Center, and we're responsible for the DemoPoint platform. Just in the session today, we have partners and Checkpoint SCs from the US, Canada, and Latin America. And I'm guessing that most of you are familiar with DemoPoint already, that you're using it already. And what we thought was a good idea with DemoPoint Academy sessions is to increase your knowledge and confidence with Checkpoint technologies, and specifically with the different blueprints that we have to offer as part of DemoPoint. And today we're going to present to you one of the blueprints called VSX Workshop, which will mainly focus on VSX Cluster deployment and troubleshooting. It's already recorded, so you can also hear it later on. And before we start, I wanted to just a quick reminder for those of you who are less familiar with DemoPoint, just to show you where everything is placed. So let me connect to Partners Map, User Center. Once I'm connected to User Center, I have this option DemoPoint Environment. For partners, it is not automatically by default enabled. So if you have new partners that would like to join this program, feel free to send us their user center email and we will enable this role to them as part of their user center account. Once you're logged in, you can see here all the different sessions that you already ran with your customers or for yourself. You go to create environment to start demoing. You have two options. The first option is running demo, and here you have three different options. You can use DemoPoint as part of an event, do customer demo or partner demo. And another option that you have is training, that you can speak in a class in front of a few students, or prepare yourself for customers meeting, or just learn and practice to feel much more confidence with the program, with the platform. I wanted to emphasize it here in this session that it is very important that you keep your tracking correctly. You keep the usage tracked correctly. This is very important for us. We monitor that, and we want to be able to show the correct value and usage from the field. So just for the testing, I'll show you where our demo is located. So just for the exercise, I chose the cloud region to be Europe. And here in the list of different blueprints that I have, you have cloud, mobile, advanced threat prevention. Under other, you will have the VSX workshop that we're about to show you right now. I will let Shai from my team continue and do the demonstration. Important that if you have questions all along, please write it in the Q&A, and at the end, Niv Gaffney, who is also in this session from R&D, responsible for the product, will be able to answer all your questions live. So enjoy, and Shai, I'm doing stop share for you to take control.
Yeah, so hi everyone. Yael, do you hear me and you see my screen?
Yes, we hear you very well.
Okay, good. So what I'm going to do now is to show you the quick basic step for deploying a VSX cluster and deploy the virtual router, a few VS in an MDS environment. And after me, I'm not going to cover all the steps in the cookbook. And after me, Niv Gaffney, which is the owner of the product from R&D, is going to answer for questions and show you some tips and tricks on this VSX environment and talk about the use case. And of course, you can ask any question, and Niv will answer your questions while I deliver this webinar. So in this environment, basically we have 3 gateways. They are not configured. They are just after the first time wizard. I have an MDS with 3 CMA, 3 virtual servers that are used as web servers. And let's see from CloudShare how it looks like. This is the environment that you are going to get from DemoPoint. Once you click on the tabs, you get connected to the machines. It's RDP and HTML5. Most of the work is done from the client machine, so I prefer to connect to it via regular RDP and not via the browser. So in order to access it, go to the machine list, click on the management and show more details. You have here the username and the password. By the way, the password in this environment is always VPN123. So in order to connect to RDP to the client machine, click on this button and you can download the RDP file. I'm already connected to the machine, so I not need to take this step again. So in this environment, again, we have 3 gateways. They are all configured the same, and we are going to deploy this gateway inside a VSX cluster. In order to connect to the machine, just click on it and click inside the black screen. The user is admin VPN123. And if I will switch to Klish, you will see the interfaces. I have 6 interfaces in each machine. ETH1 is the management interface. ETH0, sorry, is the management interface, and it's the same setup on each one of the gateway. So I will connect to the management client, which is this one. And the first thing I'm going to do is open Smart Console, and I'm going to connect to the MDS itself. I'm not going to connect individually to each one of the CMA. I'm going to connect to the MDS because I want to show you the all environments. I'm connected to the MDS. And inside the MDS, you see that they have 3 CMA. They are already configured, but there are no object inside of them. I have the Japan CMA, the main VSX, and the USA. I'm going to deploy the VSX cluster inside the main VSX. So I'm going to connect from here. I will right-click on the main VSX and then connect to the main VSX. And I'm going to create the VSX cluster. So remember, I'm not creating a regular cluster, I'm creating a VSX cluster. So from this menu, I choose VSX cluster. I will call it a VSX cluster, IP 10.111.104. And this is going to be, for now, a cluster Excel. I will choose a custom configuration. I will add the 2 nodes, node 1 with IP 10.111.101, VPN 123, VPN 123. Let's hope that we will have SIG. Yes, we have SIG. Now we'll add the second node, 10.111. By the way, I'm running, it's all explained in the cookbook, okay? By the way, you have all the material. You have here in the resource tab, you have the cookbook, which is a step-by-step guide for all the steps that I'm doing right now. We have everything in the cookbook. And if you want to get even more details and you want to see all the presentation that we're delivering during the training class, you can download the materials. In this zip file, you have all the PDF and the presentation we deliver during the training class. So back to deploying the cluster, VPN 123, VPN 123. Okay, with SIG, I will click next, and we are not going to use a trunk interface. We are going to use a dedicated interface to each VS, so we are not using a trunk here. And we are going to use ETH1 as a sync interface, and it doesn't really matter which IP we choose. I will take 666.101, and for the other node 666.102 in class C. And I will choose all the default policy. I will enable all of those rules. This is access to the VSX cluster. And it's going to take something like 5 minutes to deploy. I already deployed it in here. So you can see this is the VSX cluster and I have two nodes. Just remember that after you deploy it, you need to open the manage license and package, and you're going to receive here a red sign because it doesn't going to have a license. So open package and license, and from here, from the license and contract, add license, and you have two license files. It's 10.115. You have two central license that you need to put on the CMA. Okay, this is a central license that was generated for the CMA IP, and then you just click on each one of the node and click attach license. Okay, very easy. It's also explained in the cookbook. So I deployed the VSX cluster, and I remind you again that I deployed it inside the main VSX. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I have here the topology that I want to build. So I have the VSX cluster. All the square here is the VSX cluster, and I have nothing inside of it. What I'm going to show you now is how to deploy the virtual router inside the VSX cluster, and to deploy also VS inside Japan CMA, and another VS inside the USA VS. Since both VS are going to use the virtual router, I'm going to deploy this virtual external router inside the main VSX. Okay, so this is the first thing we are going to do, is deploy the the virtual router inside the main VSX CMA, and is going to have one IP address, one interface that is connected to the router internet, okay, with this IP. Remember this IP, and we are also going to set a default route on this router that is going to be the external, the router internet. So let's do it. I will connect to the main VSX, and from here I'm going to create VSX virtual router. I will call it external virtual router, and I'm going to deploy it on top of the VSX cluster that we have just created. And I'm going to add interface. So I'm going to deploy this interface on Ethernet number 2, and the IP address is going to be 172.16.1.1. Netmask class C. In the cookbook, it's written class B, but it doesn't really matter. So this is the IP, and we are going to add also a default route. The default route is to this IP. This is the IP of the router internet. So it's 172.16.1.2. Click next and finish. And once it will be ready, I want to check that I have a connectivity between the two routers. I already know that specifically in this environment, in CloudShare environment, I'm going to have a problem with the connectivity. So I'm going to connect to the router internet, and I will try to ping to the virtual router. I already know that the initial policy, the default policy of the virtual external router does not going to allow ping. But at least I'm going to see in layer 2 the MAC address. So let's see if it's already installed. It's going to take another 10 seconds. Let's wait.
Shai, in the meantime, there is a question asked about RDP for other environments.
It's not always available RDP for the other environments because it's depend on the topology. Sometimes I need from this machine access to the internet to go through the gateway, so I cannot also set so it's depend on the default route, which is the default route. But in every environment, basically, you can access RDP. If it's not available, you can change the default route. So you not change the default route because the demo will not work, but you can add a static route. Check what is your IP, and then add a static route. We can take it offline if you want to understand how to do it. Just drop me an email and I will explain how to do it. So we can see that the virtual router was deployed, and I'm going to check again. I want to ping from from the router internet to the virtual router. So again, the user is admin VPN 123 ping 172.16.1.1. And ping I'm not going to have because I know that the initial policy does not allow ping, but I'm going to check out. And as you can see here, I don't have a connectivity on a layer 2 because I don't see the MAC address here. So what I'm going to do, this is a workaround. Wait. Okay, the workaround is to change the interface. This is just happening in this environment. On other environments, you're not going to see it. So I'm going to change to Ethernet 3, save config, and replace it back, change it back to Ethernet 2. I don't know how, but it solved the environment. This is because it's running on a nested environment. So let's wait for it. Okay, so we finish, and now I'm going to change it back. It's not happening all the times, but from time to time it's happened, and it's good that it's happened for me here, so I can show you how to fix it. Okay, and we are good to go. So let's run ping again, and I will run ARP again, and now I see the MAC address of the virtual router. Okay, so we are ready to go to the next step. So in the next step, what we are going to do, so we just deploy the virtual router, and we check that we have a connectivity between the external router to the virtual router. And now we are going to deploy the virtual system, the virtual, the VS, USA VS, on top of the VSX cluster, but we are going to do it now not on the main VSX, not on the main CMA, on the USA CMA. So I already opened the CMA, and just to remind you, if I'm going to the MDS, I can click on it and connect to the domain, to the CMA. So now I'm going to create from this CMA VSX virtual system. I will call it USA VS, and I'm going to deploy it on top of the VSX cluster. I click next, and I need to create two interfaces. One is linked to the internal network, to the web server, and one is linked to the virtual router. Okay? Okay, so the regular is the internal network. I will use ETH3. It's 10.2.1.104, class C. And I will click here, propagate route to the adjacent, to the virtual router. So I won't need to create a static route on the virtual router. It's going to distribute the route to this internal network to the virtual router. Click OK, and now I'm going to create the interface, the lead to the external router. So it leads to the external router. Okay, again, this interface leads to the external virtual router. Was here, and the IP is going to be 172.17.107. And the last thing I'm going to do here is to create a static route, a default route to the virtual router. This is the default route, and click next. And finish. While I'm doing it, deploying this one, I will go to Japan CMA. I'm going to deploy Japan VS. Okay, so let's jump to Japan, and I will create a VSX virtual system. Let's call it Japan VS. I will deploy it again on the VSX cluster. And remember, the VSX cluster is on the main VSX. Okay. Click next, and I will create again, the regular is going to the LAN. I will use ETH4. It's 10.3.1.104. 104. Just check what is the topology. I can check it here. I log to Japan. I will see what is the default route. Route print. It's 104. Okay. So 3104 and class C. And I'm going also to distribute the route. And another interface that leads to the virtual router. And his IP is going to be 172.18.108.1. And a default route that's go to the virtual router. Okay, while it's deploying, I will switch to the USA, and I want to allow I will allow all traffic. I will take the stills rules and I will select accept and I will install the policy here. And let's wait for the install policy. And I will switch to Japan. It's still deploying the VS. After deployment of the VS, I'm going also to allow any accept in the policy. Accept and publish and install. And if everything is go well, I will have a ping from the USA web server to Japan web server. So let's wait for the policy to install and we will check connectivity. By the way, you remember that I told you that we don't have ping here, right? So in order to enable ping, I don't know if you know it or not, if some of you know it, you can go to the main CMA, where is the virtual router installed. And if you will open the policy, let's say the VSX Cluster policy, you can see here that the default policy allow a ping, okay? You can see here echo request. So if you install the policy and you choose the target, the policy target, you choose also to add the virtual router. Okay. So you will have ping. Okay, this is the default policy that it's creating while it's creating the VSX cluster. So I just deploy the same also to the. But I had to add here. It will not work. Let's add it. Let's add the virtual router also here. And deploy it again. So after installation of this policy, we should have also ping to the virtual router. Okay, you see, now we have ping. So this is how you do it. Okay, so after we install the policy, both in USA and Japan, we install the policy in USA and also in Japan. We can log into USA web server and we will ping to Japan. It's 10.3.1.201. Okay, and now you have ping. By the way, from it's also happened in a very load environment that the policy, once you deploy the VS and install the policy does not load, so you won't see a ping here. So to check this issue, you can install the second time. It's always solve the problem. Install the second time, the policy is always solve the problem. But you also have another option to troubleshoot and to see if this is the issue. You can just, I will show you in a sec. We'll open SSH to VSX gateway number 2. I think this is the active member. Okay, so admin VPN 123, and I will just check if this is the active member, CPHA probe stat. CPHA probe stat will show you the active member, and now I'm the local. This is the, oh, I need to switch it on the member number 1. So I will open an SSH connection to VSX gateway 1, which is the active member. And there is a very useful command, VSX stat minus V. It will show you all the virtual components that are running. So you can see the external virtual router, VS USA, VS Japan US, and you also see the ID of the system. So for example, if you want to log into to USA VS, we will switch to VS in number 2. This is the environment of USA. And you see that I switch to USA VS and I can run if config. You see that he has the IP of that I gave him. If you don't, sometimes you don't have ping, you will see it the default IP. Okay, so push policy again, and he's going to fix it. And also see here in the VSX stat -v, you can see that he got the policy. Okay, so you got the standard policy. The last thing that I want to show is, what do you say, if I will ping from a USA web server to Australia web server, do you think I will have a ping, I will have a connectivity? I'm telling you that you are not going to have a connectivity because the routes on the internet router, it does not know the internal IP of USA. I will just show it to you. If I will connect to the router internet and I will see what are the routes, as you can see here, it doesn't has the internal IPs. It just see the interface that are connected to the router, to the virtual router. Okay, so one option is to add static routes on the external virtual router, and another option is just create a source NAT, hide NAT, or whatever you want on each one of the VS. So if I will go to USA Web and I will try to ping to Japan, to Australia web server, I will show you it again. Okay, I'm trying to ping from USA to Australia, so it needs to go to this path. Okay, and this router does not know this network. Okay, so I'm going to create static NAT. So once this server is going to Australia Web, the source IP will be changed to the IP of the firewall. Okay, so just make sure that I'm not speaking nonsense and that we don't have a traffic. So we'll ping the Australia web server. From USA web server, I will ping to 172.31.1.201. Okay, and I don't have a connectivity. So what I'm going to do now is create a NAT. So I'll go to USA and I will create the network USA LAN, and the IP is 10.2.1.0 class C. Okay, and I will I can create just hide NAT, but I will show you a more complicated NAT tool. I will create another network, Japan. Okay, because I want to create just a hide NAT once the packet destination is Japan. I don't want to create a NAT rule for all packets that also going to, packets that are going to Australia. I don't want to create a NAT rule for packets that are going to Japan. Okay, so I want to create NAT rule only to traffic that is going to Australia web server. I don't want to create a NAT rule that translate the packet once it's going to Japan web server. Okay, so just this direction is going to have NAT rule. Here I don't need NAT because they are routing between the two sites. As you remember, once I create the VS, I publish the networks from here and also the network from here once I created the VS to the virtual routers. Okay. So now I'm going to create Japan Australia LAN. And the IP in Australia is 172.31.1.2 Class C. And the last thing I'm going to create this network interface. I'm going to create this network, this host, because I want to hide this network behind this IP. And the firewall was created with the internal IP, so I cannot use this object to hide the LAN IP. So let's call it a firewall external. And the IP is going to be 172.17.107.1. And I'm going to create the NAT rule. So from USA LAN to Australia, I'm going to use the external object, the firewall external, okay? But I'm not going to use static. I cannot hide the LAN with the static. I must change it to hide. If not, the policy will fail to install, okay? And I'm going to install the policy. So after I install the policy, I will have a ping from USA to Australia. Good. Okay, so now I ping to Australia web server, and it's doing a NAT translation. I think we cover the main 3 steps in the cookbook. To complete the other step, it's going to take another 2 hours or so. So I think that I gave you the basic confident to deal with this lab. If you can send me feedback, I can also prepare a lab that all the VS and the cluster is already prepared. So we will have 2 labs, one for training, that you are building everything from scratch, and I create another one for more for demo. So let's say that the cluster will be already deployed, and you will just maybe also the external virtual router. And in the demo, you will just need to deploy the VS. Or if you want the other configuration and you can think about other relevant scenario, just drop me an email. And if I will see a lot of demand, I will do the requested changes. Niv, so I think that I finish with the demo. Let's you can take it from here. And if you want to do more drill down and show some tips and tricks and answer questions, now it's all yours. So thank you very much. And Niv.
Thank you, Shai. And Niv, I'm trying to unmute him. Niv?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Oh.
Yeah, we hear you, and I stop share so you can share your screen now.
Okay, so.
Speak a bit louder, Niv.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, better.
Yeah.
See here, okay. So, get this right here. Okay, so hi everyone. As Yael said, I'm Niv. I'm the VSX team leader from R&D. Just want to.
Niv, a bit louder. A bit louder.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Now better? Is it better now?
Yes.
Okay. So, as Yael said, I'm the VSX team leader from R&D. And I have actually been using this setup and the cookbook in general for our VSX trainings. I see from the participants here, some of you actually been in the session I've done. So those of you who have been knows and work with the lab to begin with. And so far, it's been very productive, both in us training, you guys to know better. And the good thing about the Cloudshare in general is that you have availability to access it whenever, so you can always train yourself. So I'll start by a quick run of the cookbook of the labs we have. Okay, so currently we have the creation of the VSX cluster as Shai did, and adding the 2 VSs and routes with propagated routes. Also how we have a lab to create a manual and automatic NAT behind the VS, and connectivity using static and hide NAT. Later on, we are converting clusters to VSLS, adding a new cluster members, so you can with 3 members, running in VSLS with 3 members, playing with distribution and failing over individual VSs and monitoring them. We also have a reconfigure of members with predefined error that we place in. Okay, so basically we set up 2 duplicated default routes on the gateway, and when we try to reconfigure the configuration, it fails, and then you can troubleshoot it and see how you can find out the error and see how you can handle the problematic issues and how you can use the troubleshooting to locate the problem. And in the end, we have a bit of basic troubleshooting for clusters, so you can see what's going on your cluster monitoring setups. Now, I'll show you just so you can get a quick understanding of how the cookbooks looks. In each labs we have with good indication of what to do. We also give you a few guidelines on what to look for. For example, you can open GUI edit and see the configuration. Okay, you can see the VS repository and see the files of VSRT and VSNew, and we ask you to look for specific stuff. This is very good, so you can understand not just how to operate the machines and flows, but also to look and understand how the things are happening under the hood. Okay. Now I'm saying this as refer to the cookbook, but it's not just about the cookbook itself. Okay. Because you can also use it for every POC you want to do. So first of all, Shai showed you how to use the MDS, right, and how to connect between different CMAs. But VSX doesn't have to work on an MDS environment. You can do all the things you just did, but keep it all on a single domain. Okay, if you don't familiar with MDS and you want to start working on VSX on a secure platform, secure smart console, you can do it just on the MDS environment we have. Just log into a single domain, create all the VSX and VSs and virtual router and switch and everything on a single domain. Okay. Another important note you should notice, as Shai told you, some policy installation might fail. Okay, and then in the cookbook we provide you some workaround how to just reinstall it, or in terms of virtual router, just change the interface from one to another, just to make sure it happens. Something that can happen on extremely loaded environment, and since it's a cloud environment, it can be overloaded, especially if there's a training going on at the same time. Okay, and for that reason, also make sure you don't overstress your machines. This setup is not designed for large-scale environment. Okay, I would not do a demo of 20 VSs or 50 VSs or 100 rules on a single pause installation. Okay, this is something for basic, see how the VSs work, turn on blades and configure them. Okay. And as Shai said, if you have additional configuration you want, or if you have additional trainings you think that we should add, for example, maybe we'll add upgrade procedures, okay, or changing the private nets and so on. If you have any additional information you feel like not just having the deployment there, just also adding more to the cookbook itself. Okay. Let us know and we can work it out. Now, in addition to the cookbook itself and the training, which is basically do your own training and get to know the product, you can also do your own trainings. If you're an expert in VSX and you want to share your information with the customers or with your team members or with whoever, you can use this to train additional people. Okay, you can set up, you can talk to Yael and see if it's available to create, for example, as I do when I do SE training in the United States, we go and we create a lab for 15 people, and everyone just joining with their laptops. Everyone can connect to the workshop and have its own different setup and do the training together. We add in addition, we add a presentation, and we have a lab ready to go. We don't have to go over the trouble of setting up VMwares and installing hardwares and everything. It's all in the cloud and very easy to port from place to place. Okay. Another very, very good way of using this setup and workshop, and I hope you to do that, is set up your own demos. Okay. You can use it not just for the VSX clusters and VSs and so on, and that we do in the cookbook. You can set up 2 VSs and add blades, okay, and set up specific topology that your customer is interested in and show it. Okay, you don't have to set up a VMware and then go to the customer site and log into your setup or everything like that. It's all portable and available in the cloud. You can do whatever demo you want on this lab. It's very flexible. Okay, if you want, I can show you, you can add in the Q&A, I can show you some basic configurations that we can use. And you don't need, okay, we already have a client and a host, you can pass traffic through them, very convenient to handle. Okay. Another very good way you can use the product is just to check the VSX product and find some limitation or available features. As some of you may know, VSX supports most of the checkpoint features, but some of the features we're still lacking. Certain blades are not available in bridge modes. We don't have QoS and some small limitations, right? And in some features, we have some small functionalities that not yet supported and so on. So you can always just use this setup to verify, do we support anything, do we not? Most of it is documented, but sometimes it's much easier to just verify the product before you can start drill down the documentations. Okay, so mostly this is what I have as a guide, I think, and my recommendations to you to how to use this VSX workshop and environment. If you have any more specific question regarding it, you can add it in the Q&A and I can set it up.
Niv, I wanted to take control and show one thing here as well.
Yes.
If you're done.
Yes.
Okay.
You can take control.
I have. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Let's see. Okay.
Yeah, now we can see it.
Okay. So until we have questions, if we have questions, I wanted to have the 2 mailing lists in front of you. The first one is for checkpoints. The second one is for partners and SK that we keep updating. The recorded session will be updated on the SK, and also I will send you an email through the mailing list with all the information. Again, to remind you, if you have additional partners that are interested in DemoPoint, send it to me directly, to Shai, or to the mailing list, and we will make sure they get the relevant role. I see David is asking about if if SEs are no longer using VMware internal labs. So I guess they're using both. Depends on what they feel more confident with. But we do see an increase with the uses of DemoPoint. We're getting great feedback from the field, from partners. That is very helpful. The fact that they don't need to build their own setup and waste time on and hours of building their own configuration and just click play and use an existing environment, save them lots of time. It's very helpful, and we do see major increase with the usage every month. So continue using DemoPoint. We believe it is very helpful for you. And also share any feedback that you have. The next session that we're planning to do for DemoPoint Academy are based on your feedback, what you feel is less confidence with the product. So we want to give you the training and we want to increase your confidence. It's everything based on your feedback. So continue sharing your feedback with us, and we're trying to really have a good platform that will serve and be helpful for your day-to-day. Okay, so if we don't have additional questions, I think we're good. Shai, Niv, anything that you want to add?
No.
Okay.
No, not from my side.
Okay, so thank you everyone and have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.